Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with another user-submitted replay, this time Marathi going to be leading the Dark Elves up against the Vampire Counts, and both pretty interesting builds, so let's get to it. Marathi going on foot this time, and basically I've seen this type of strategy before. She's going to act as a debuff bot in the center line and help support the infantry engagement using her more as a support type hero. She's got Heartrender and Dark Sword for that sweet -9 melee attack, -9 melee defense. She's also got Soul Blight, Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma, Pit of Shades, and Soul Stealer, as well as the Enchanting Beauty for another -9 melee attack, -8% charge bonus. That Soul Blight can give -30 armor with -25% weapon damage when you combine that with an additional -15 armor from the Spiteful Conjuration, giving you a total of 45. She can provide some very, very strong debuffs to really support the infantry engagement. That is going to be paired with this Death Hag here. She's also got a debuff aura, this Chill Blade for an additional -12% speed, -5 melee attack, so the speed and melee attack debuffs in particular from these two are going to be quite strong. Then of course Sisters of Slaughter have poison. We've got Blades of the Blood Queen and the Hellebron Eye also with poison, one unit of Dark Shards, a couple of Dread Spears out to the flanks. We've also got some Doomfire Warlocks here, Slaanesha's Harvesters, and a unit of Shades with dual swords. Interesting. For the Vampire Counts, it's also a very interesting build, none the least because it's led by the Dread Master himself, Hellman GHORST. Hidden in the woods here, let's look at his spell selection. He's got Invocation of Nehek and Dance Macabre, as well as a Liber Mortis, so he's going to be damaging himself to get more Winds of Magic. He's got Reliquary Corruption, obviously, Master of the Dead, Unholy Lodestone, Vigor Mortis, all the effects of the Corpse Cart there. He's also got some Graveguard with great weapons, 2 of them, Stearnsmen, couple zombies, or just the Tithe actually, some Skeleton Spears. And up here, he's got a nice mobile group of 2 Blood Knights. He's got a Vampire Lore of Shadows with Enfeebling Foe, Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma, and Pit of Shades, as well as a Necromancer with just Raise Dead. So I'm assuming these guys are to help support the Blood Knights. We've actually got 3 Blood Knights, so a very expensive elite cavalry force there. Bats. And that's pretty much it. So a very interesting build, I guess. Hellman GHORST is going to be the battery, and then these guys are going to kind of operate independently up in a more mobile forward position. That being said, a little bit of lack of scouting here. These Bats need to come over and scout this area and make sure they find the Slaanesha's Harvesters before the Blood Knights start committing. But a very nice hit and run charge here on the Sisters of Slaughter. But again, with all the stacking speed debuffs, the Blood Knights are actually going to find it's hard to get out of this situation with the poison, with the Chilling Blade, with Marathi's debuffs as well. You can see the Dark Shards are able to get some effective counterfire there. So the strategy for the Vampire Counts not necessarily foolproof here, as the stacking debuffs from the Dark Elves are able to somewhat slow them down. You can see the Slaanesha's Harvesters come in here, try and support these Shades who had taken a nasty charge. The Bats are going to pile in here, and this situation is just going to start to escalate more and more. You can see the Summon Zombies just about finished off there, but Enfeebling Foe going down on the Slaanesha's Harvesters as these Blood Knights blob in, but a Soul Stealer going down as well. That's going to be just crushingly effective, just doing a huge amount of damage to all these Blood Knights here. The Shades, of course, going to get finished off. The Slaanesha's Harvester is also probably going to get finished off, but this massive blob is just asking for it. And Marathi delivers with a nasty Pit of Shades directly in the center of this formation here. This is going to do a devastating amount of damage to these Blood Knights here. You can see all 3 units suffering quite badly, and the Spears and the other group of Doomfire Warlocks rolling in. Again, the Doomfire Warlocks also have poison, so all these stacking debuffs here. A Soul Stealer going down as well. That's going to give them a total of -45 armor, putting them down to only 80, which, you know, definitely will mean that the Doomfire Warlocks and the Dread Spears will be able to do more damage. And just a very, very effective use of multiple stacking debuffs here to help deal with a situation that could have potentially been very rough, because, you know, that elite cavalry cycle charge can be a huge pain to deal with. Ooh, this Doombolt's going to be nasty. Maybe. It actually wasn't that. I guess it's the lesser Doombolt from her wand. But anyway, that did a solid amount of damage to that Necromancer. Unfortunately, the Shades did get chased off by Bats. But now, the Blood Knights, realizing they have made a mistake, going to go over by Helm and Gorst, try and get that healing from the corpse cart and just the support in general as the vampires come out of the woods here. A very nice invocation of the Heck, trying to stabilize everything. But at this point, the Dark Elves definitely have a superior infantry force, and especially with Morathi stacking debuffs, they'll have no problem just plowing through this front line. You can see Morathi charging in with reckless abandon, along with her... I said charge, Morathi, come on. That was not a charge. Come on, Morathi. There we go. She spears one skeleton, finally. But, yeah, another Pit of Shade's going to be going down in the back line, it looks like. Oh, but the Blood Knights do manage to get out most of their unit models. A few of them did get caught up there. But Morathi with the debuffs and just the overwhelming infantry going to be rolling in. And yeah, we'll soak up some cinematics. That being said, Helm and Gorst being in melee here does provide like a drain type aura, although he is saturated in the middle of a bunch of spears. The Death Hag's wailing on him. Morathi's probably going to come over and try and finish him off once she finishes off these Blood Knights here. Morathi with anti-large AP is quite strong. It looks like maybe another Soul Stealer going down. Nope, just a Soul Blight there to help debuff the armor. And the Blood Knight's actually going down to 65 that time. Not sure what extra effect was affecting them there, but... yeah, very, very brutal stuff. At this point, the balance of power still pretty even, all things considered, but the Gorst Master is suffering. He's definitely suffering in here, saturated. The Death Hag in particular over here that's just, you know, slapping his corpse cart in the side with her dual daggers. Definitely going to be doing a lot of damage, and Morathi also finishing off the Blood Knights there. Sisters of Slaughter being very resilient in the late game with their high melee defense and high leadership. Doomfire Warlocks also coming in, landing a nice rear charge here. Blood Knights did get around and try and get on the Dark Shards, but the Doomfire Warlocks, or Snatches Harvesters rather, regrouped with Sisters of Slaughter, able to protect that pocket. And here comes Morathi coming in to finish off some more high-value targets here. She's going to start to cut her way through the Graveguard along with her Blades of the Blood Queen. And man, what a cool cinematic shot there. Just absolutely covered in blood head to toe, as the Dark Elves probably love. Although, I'm not sure how they get covered in blood. I guess it's like zombie blood or blood of their friends, because, I mean, fighting skeletons, I don't imagine you'd get very bloody, but you can see Gorst Master went down, and with that, a lot of the Vampire Counts units are going to start crumbling away. You can see the Necromancer trying to summon up, actually, Skeleton Warriors, but that miscast just did a whole bunch of damage to him and sent him into crumbling, so may not have been worth it. May have been worth it to just get the zombies instead. But the Vampire Lore of Shadows as well, the Enfeebling Foe being used to good effect in a couple situations, but I guess they're really just looking for support in the cavalry fight. But I would probably say you could cut Pit of Shades and Melkos, just keep Melkos and Enfeebling Foe along with the Lore attribute. But anyway, we'll soak up some cinematics of this fight as it starts to finish up. These Dark Shards firing in here, and the Dark Elves finally finishing off what's left. You can see the Vampire Count's forces just crumbling all across the board here as they start to just fall over of their own accord. And it looks like maybe one more summoned unit. Nope, Skeleton Warrior is just about gone. Sternsman just about gone. So yeah, it looks like a Melkos being unleashed there on the Blades of the Blood Queen. Not quite going to be enough, unfortunately, in this late game. So we'll fast forward a little bit, as it is mostly just waiting for these vampire heroes to crumble. Or the one vampire hero, I guess. Vampirus is very strong, actually, at the moment, so I do sort of like that pick. It was an interesting build, and I see what he was going for there. But Angry John there with the multiple stacking debuffs, the poison, you know, the two debuffs from the two heroes and everything, able to actually very effectively deal with that Blood Knight cycle charge there. And, you know, the Doomfire Warlocks also playing very key as well. 55 kills and 46, not bad at all. 88 and 137 for those Sisters of Slaughter. And the Dread Spears also being very cost effective. 113 on Dread Spears, not bad. Morathi also racking up 88 with the two nasty Pit of Shades there, just devastating the Blood Knights. And, yeah, unfortunately, Gorst Master's elite strategy here did not pay off, although I do sort of see what he was going for there, especially if your opponent's army is very, very tattered, and then you roll up on him, you know, with Gorst's Pimp Cart, and he has that Reliquary Unbinding or whatever from the Mortis engine, and he can just drain out what little is left, although I do think that this build lacks terror, so I might consider dropping some units here, there, and trying to get something with some terror. You know, unfortunately, Helm and Gorst probably should cause terror, but he doesn't. So I guess you could play with some things here. Honestly, I'd probably cut the Graveguard of Great Weapons down to regular Graveguard. They just have better melee defense and overall going to be more durable. So yeah, I would say you probably want to cut them down to regular Graveguard, and that would save you a bit of points. You know, something like this, and Helm and GHORST with the cart. We're going to go ahead and keep his loadout as he was. And it's actually relatively cheap loadout. Oh, let's not forget the Reliquary Corruption as well. The Vampire Lore of Shadows, like I said, will be cutting Pit of Shades. And I believe he just had Immortal Will. I don't think he had these other two, so yeah, we're going to be cutting these guys and just taking Melkos and the Enfeebling Foe. And then the Necromancer, we're going to just take Master of the Dead. You know what, I'm actually going to keep that because it'll replenish the Blood Knights when they're near him. Just give him a little bit of extra healing. And then just the Raised Dead for the Necromancer there. And then what was it, 3 Blood Knights. And this feels a little light on numbers to me, personally, so I might tank out on some numbers. In terms of a cheap terror-causing unit, unfortunately we don't quite have enough spend for a Banshee, so I might even consider like dropping this Necromancer and trying to get a Banshee. Could go relatively cheap on that, and then, yeah, that would give us a little bit of extra points to have some fun here. I might just tank up on some zombies to give me lots of extra bodies here. Then something like this, I think, might be a little bit better. It's tough to say, you know, the Banshee is a cheap terror option, but the Dark Elves definitely have a lot of magic damage on the table, so it might not be the best option. The issue is that your more expensive terror options, well, I guess they're more expensive, obviously, so the Ethereal units really are going to be your cheapest terror option, either a Banshee, or I guess you could trade her out and go for a unit of Cairn Wraiths instead, if you were a little bit worried about there, or if you wanted to try and keep that Necromancer in the hero slot with his stuff there. So, Curse of Undeath, you know what, we're actually going to keep that as well so that when he casts that Raised Dead, he gets healing off. But this is going to restrict our funds a little bit, so maybe I'll cut one of the Blood Knights down to the Varix Reavers. That's just about going to put us where we need to be. So I might come in here and cut a handful of abilities. Maybe I'll cut the Magical Animus. Oh, that's not quite enough either. Yeah, I'd have to do some playing. Maybe we cut the Tithe down to a regular zombie. There we go. That should do it. So something like this I think might be a little bit more effective. Again, I don't know that that's necessarily the best vampire count strategy, but it definitely was a fun, unique strategy. Thought you guys would want to see that use of the GHORST Master there. So hopefully you enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.